Huge Monday. Absolutely huge Monday here. The Tigers headed to Atlanta for the Southeastern Conference Championship game. Champions of the Western Division. Doesn't happen very often. Did it in 2001? Did it in 03? Did it in 05? 2007? 2011? 2019? And now 2022. So all's right in the world. What a performance by Brian Kelly, his staff, and this program to put this together and win the Western Division. Headed to play a huge one with number 1 Georgia. Wow. All right, I tried. And that is actually the bigger picture here. But, man, Saturday was awful. I said on the air that I thought I would actually cry on the postgame show. I did not. But it was not fun. It was an absolutely brutal 3 hours of football inside Kyle Field. A&M beat LSU from the start to the finish. Absolutely dominated the football game start to finish. And it is easy to say that, man, I could see that one coming a mile away. A&M's bowl game, nothing to lose on the road. You know, LSU looking ahead to Georgia, all the things that you could point to. But the fact of the matter is there was nothing, absolutely zero, that you could point to in terms of the flow of the seasons, the 3 months these two teams had put on film, the results of the games, nothing that could have made you pick the game to go the way that it did with any degree of confidence. Like, it could not have been done. Every single talking point that we came up with last week got absolutely shattered in the first half, other than the fact that I said I believe that Texas A&M will come to play really hard and that crowd will be really full and really hungry. Those were absolutely, emphatically the case. I don't think LSU came out flat. I don't think they overlooked A&M. I think they got beat by a team that wanted to win the game. I mean, look at some of the plays they made that they had not made all year. I mean, to go into some of the talking points we gave you, A&M's offensive line had been awful all year. Bad at protecting the passer, bad on the edges, freshman on the left side, had trouble getting the running game going. This is a team that ran the football for 110 yards on Sam Houston. This is a team that ran the football for 89 yards on App State. Miami stinks. A&M ran it 32 times for 124. Bama bottled them up. They ran for 70. Ole Miss's defense isn't exactly the 85 Bears. They have 3 down linemen, and teams have been gashing them for a month and a half now. A&M managed to go for 142 yards on 29 carries. It wasn't like they have not done this all year. They ran for 94 yards on Auburn. 94. They show up and run for 274. That was from the start to the finish. LSU, defensively, up front. Tank Bigsby, nothing. Quinshawn Judkins in the second half, nothing. Rocket Sanders, nothing. 2 Florida running backs, nothing. How are we supposed to come in here last week and say, yep, think A&M will give it to A-Chain 38 times for 240? Probably weren't going to do that. We gave you the fact that, look, Devon A-Chain may not play in this game. He hadn't been very healthy. In a boot 2 weeks ago, last week, tried to walk around pregame, didn't really feel very good. Yep, he'll probably get it 38 times. How would we have come on here and said that? He was Hercules on Saturday. Legendary performance. Awful football team he just played for. Legendary performance. Snakebit football team he just played for. Legendary performance. Underachieving team. Talented team. Never put it together. Team that didn't make the clutch plays. All those things apply to A&M. A-Chain carried him on Saturday. A&M, worst red zone offense in the conference. LSU, second best red zone defense. A&M got in the red zone 4 times, scored all 4, 3 touchdowns. A&M, worst third down team in the conference. Had no issue. Why did they have no issue? Well, it's pretty easy. They won first and second down time after time after time. And you look at the third downs they were converting in the first half. 3rd and 1, got it. 3rd and 1, got it. 3rd and 1, Got it. 3rd and 1. Their first 4 third downs were 1 yard. Then you force them into 3rd and 7, and Wigman, who almost falls down in the case, collects himself and runs for it. Another 3rd down, late in the first half, late in the third quarter. Late in the second quarter, 5 minutes and 33 seconds to go. You get him into a 3rd down. LSU blitzes off the left side. Ojulari comes free. They got what looks like a clean shot on Wigman. And he backs up, and throws it, touchdown pass, into the corner to Donovan Green. Hadn't really done it all year, but they sure as heck did it on Saturday night. All the talking points we hammered home time and time again. Well, A&M can't stop the run at all. And it wasn't like they put LSU in a blender on the run, but the Tigers weren't able to run it effectively enough to win the game. Jaden Daniels had a decent night running, and they did run it for 187. Emory had the 3 scores, 5.8 a carry. It wasn't enough to take over the game because A&M kept scoring points on offense. It did, and if you're looking on track record, one thing was about to make sense. That Matt House would figure it out. The same way he shut Mississippi State out in the second half, shut Auburn out in the second half, shut Ole Miss out in the second half, shut Arkansas out. They always in the second half had figured it out. And A&M comes out, first drive, in the second half, 3 and out. A&M comes out, second drive, 3 and out. Okay. We know this A&M offense has struggled all year. We know their freshman quarterback had a heck of a first half. A-Chain made some plays. They rode that early momentum, but it's a thin team. It's a team that has not played well in the second half. Florida just manhandled them in the second half of that game. Okay, this makes sense now. This is one of the things we've been talking about that's going to point in the direction of LSU. And then you get on 3rd and 1, a read option. Daniels keeps it. Ball gets knocked free, scoop and score. And LSU never recovered from that. Never got off the mat. And it's just devastating, honestly, to sit here and lose that football game to a team that at that point had the worst record in the league, to a team that seemingly had very little to play for. But that's the point of a rivalry game. You create emotion and guys play over their heads. Devon A-Chain on a gimpy ankle had a career game. Moose Muhammad is making one-handed catches in the end zone. This is the same guy who flat refused to go play football in Columbia, South Carolina because his coach told him to take his sleeves off. Then he went to Twitter and said, I need him for my protection. He refused to play against South Carolina. He makes the plays of his life against LSU. The touchdown with one hand. The 3rd down catch on Sage Ryan where the ball juggles 13 times. Their offensive line, abused all year, showed up and played. A defense that had been gashed for a month and a half makes the plays it has to make. That's a rivalry. That's what comes out in these games. They don't do that against UMass. They don't do that against South Carolina. LSU brings that out in them at times. Certainly did in that game. And I don't think that for a second that Texas A&M has any sort of the feelings to the level they do for the University of Texas, they do for LSU. But man, the energy in Kyle Field on Saturday, it was something. And LSU, I thought, had responded to it. They kept it within the score at the half and then came out and really threw the first punch in the second half. But nothing doing after that. And, you know, at this point, the differences in the programs we're in a situation where when they win a 7 overtime game, it's a big deal for them. And they make cups and they go ahead and put the mural in Jimbo's office, and that's a big deal. And when they win their 5th game of the year, they charge the field. That's where they are right now. And LSU, bitter, disappointed, disgusted by what happened on Saturday, packs the bags and head to Atlanta. That's where LSU is right now. And later in the hour, we'll talk about where the program is. We'll give a little thought to A&M as well. I think significantly overreacting to 3.5 hours is a little bit dangerous at times, both ways. But this was a really, really tough one. There are some more talking points I want to get to in the next segment. The Jure call in the back of the end zone late in the game, going for 2 in a 15-point game. There are plenty of things that need to be discussed, as well as some of the things that Brian Kelly had to say in his press conference today. But the overwhelming theme is that's just a grossly disappointing way to cap that regular season, to finish things off at 9-3. And there's no really other way to put it. It was grossly disappointing for LSU to come out there and play the way that they did. But the other part of it is, and it can't be dismissed, because I don't think that LSU just choked the game away. I think most often during a 12-game season, mediocre to bad teams play one really great game. You could talk about the way LSU's finished some seasons the last couple of years when they were a mediocre football team. And A&M was certainly that to a poor football team this year, but they had a couple of guys out there that can make plays that were 4 or 5-star recruits, and they did. And you just caught them on the wrong day. App State caught them on the right day. South Carolina caught them on the right day. LSU caught them on the wrong day and didn't have enough to get over the hump. Sucks. Awful. But that's the way it goes.